3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast. Thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional. As this era of dwarf comes to an end, I'm reminded of how one of the reasons we love a good story is because they end. Take Star Wars, for example. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Absolutely brilliant. Would have ruined it if they kept making movies. Glad we only made those 3. What's up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 6 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast, where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd like that one.
And who are you, by the way?
Oh, I'm Blake. I'm Blake. There's a problem. Like whenever I do these, right? As we've mentioned before, behind the curtain, we tend to record these back to back. I'm like, we already told people. Oh no, we didn't. This is a new episode. Yeah, I'm Blake, all the way in the US of A, with my English co-host Lee.
Hello, everyone.
You'd never know that we're doing episode 30. We're doing the 36th episode of our podcast, and I still screw up the intro.
Look, I'm going to talk about my other podcast that we have just released, episode 677, and my co-host Christopher, who's been with us for about 7 years now, still doesn't know our email address, even though he reads it out nearly every episode.
Good to know
Chris,
it's not just me.
He won't listen. He has never seen this. Anyway, as we said, we are getting to the end of another series. This is Series 6, Episode 6, Out of Time, which originally aired in the UK on November 11th, 1993. So when Lister is revealed to be a mechanoid and Kat disappears from existence, the crew realise that they are flying through reality-changing unreality bubbles. The only way they can escape this mess is with the help of their future selves. So I have brought up Douglas Adams in the previous episode, and I'm going to bring him up again because this conceit is a very Douglas Adams kind of thing to me, these unreality bubbles and stuff. It very much reminds me of the probability drive in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where something weird happens like every go. And I love it. No, it's not me complaining. I love it. I did feel like it kind of leans on the back of Future Echoes a little bit. It feels a little bit Future Echoes, but with sort of unreality stuff rather than like time, like Future Echoes, I guess. That's why it's called what it is. So it's a similar premise, but with a slightly different MacGuffin, shall we say?
Well, I want to bring this up at the beginning. You shared with me an email we had from Jack, who had emailed about his experience with Red Dwarf, watching it with his dad on VHS and stuff, and thinking this was the end. I mean,
it could have, if you didn't know, again, we've talked about...
Well, and think about it, 93. I'm pretty confident that Series 7 is 96 or 7. Okay. There's like a 4-year, I feel like there's a 4-year gap. So, Jack, your email was great, and I had the same experience. I thought it was done because when I went the next week, it started over showing reruns. Okay. And then the year or two went by, and it was still just reruns of Series 1 through 6. Another year goes by, still series of 1 through 6, and then I think PBS stopped carrying it at some point, or at least the local channels where I was at did. And I just thought this was the end. Like this was the absolute end of the series. And I was just trying to like imagine that mindset when I was watching this for the first time, or watching this for the first time for our purposes of going through it for the episode. And I'm much like Jack. I had no clue until 2004, whatever. I moved to Japan. I think I'd mentioned prior, and through the access to old things like LimeWire, I was like, man, you know what? I need some entertainment. All I've got is Japanese TV at the time. There's not really streaming being done. Then I found that you could get old Red Dwarf episodes, and I was like, Series 7? I had no idea the show had come back. Like not a clue. And Jackson's email had a similar story with his, that when his dad showed up a while later with Series 7 VHS, it was like Christmas because, so I'm sure this will come up again when we get to the next series. But I had the very similar experience in that, to me, this was the end of the show. And I was like, but it says to be continued. And I just thought, as would happen in those days, show got canceled.
Yeah. I don't honestly remember. Because like I say, once we got past probably series 3, like series 1, 2, and 3. Well, 1 and 2, as you know, I've watched a ton, and then 3, and then 4. Like I still watched it, but I wasn't as big a fan of it moving forward. So I definitely haven't seen from series 4 onwards more than maybe twice. That's why it's interesting watching them now, because I think I said to you before, I'll remember little bits here and there, but as an entire episode, I don't remember. Especially like I said to you before we started recording, that moving past this series, I had no idea. There's little bits here and there. The one of them is kind of referenced at the beginning of this that I was like, I feel like that episode was like way earlier, like before now, and it wasn't. So I'll go to it.
Yes.
So
yes, talking about how Lister is found as a baby, right?
Yes. So when they're there and he find out, so when he thinks he gets knocked out and they take him through to med bay, and Crichton's like, I don't believe it. He's a mechanoid at series 300 or whatever it is. He's subordinate to me. And then he asks, do you remember your parents? And he's like, no, of course you don't. You know, I was found under a pool table in a box. I love that whole bit, by the way. Was there anything written on the box, sir? Like paint before assembly or whatever it was? That's absolutely brilliant. But you're like, so I remember an episode where somehow they go back to that pub and find like the box and stuff, and I'm like, I felt like that episode was way earlier than it obviously is.
I thought it was going to be between series 4 and I because that was one that I didn't remember as well, was series 4. And no, it's man, it's later. But I'm with you, but obviously, as we were saying, the show starts to take on the hints of doing what you do now with a modern show like this, and you kind of have a through line and a story that's happening that carries through. And that's going to happen because this story that's just thrown off as kind of a joke will happen, or you'll find out what happens later in I believe the very next series.
But it feels like to me that it was in a series that I was more familiar with, and it's not. So it's weird that one's stuck in my head. Like I couldn't tell you the premise. Lore. Yeah, not the. I specifically have the memory in my head of like the scene where they go to the pub and they find the box, but I don't remember. Like I couldn't tell you what episode it's in or what the premise of that episode. But that bit, which is why it made me think it was in a much earlier series than it is. Weird, isn't it? It's weird how the memory works.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I really thought I thought when we get to series 7, I thought the stuff we learn about it was in the later series, but I thought the actual thing of seeing it happen was in an earlier episode.
Me too.
So obviously they kind of there was some sort of a plan-ish floating around out there. And I know that the unreality bubbles, they allow for some comedy, but man, it really does. Like the Douglas Adams of it, makes me so flippin' happy. But I do, before they realize what they are, obviously they're chasing after, going through this cloud. And is that right? How the episode very begins? As they're going into the cloud? What's the very opening?
So it starts off the very beginning where the Cat Lister and Crichton are playing cards downstairs, and Rimmer comes down. It's like, I feel like morale's got quite low, so we need to have a morale meeting. It's like, you know what I hate about Lister? All of this, and then so I wrote this down because I know it's one thing about Chris Barry's performance as Rimmer that you love, where it's like, oh, we'll be back here next week. Hope you all enjoyed it, guys. Marvelous.
I do. We could have a coffee, a tea, a beer, whatever you poison.
And it's weird because we don't seem to have had a cold open that has nothing to do with the rest of the episode like this one for a while.
No, we don't, except it so firmly plants. Obviously, we've watched these in order, but sometimes that's not what they could count on back then. It so firmly plants Rimmer back and who Rimmer was.
Yes.
His core has been. So I do think it's really important that it's the opening, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it's part of the story, but I think it's part of the character arc.
Yes. But like as far as like we talked about the last episode where that whole intro of Rimmer and all that thing plays into the entire episode.
Right. And see, I literally just now went, I didn't write it down. I forgot what was the opening because it didn't necessarily feel like it could have been one of the other episodes.
Because that's when something happens and then you go in the cockpit and what was that? And it's like, it feels like I can't remember exactly what it was. And then he gets knocked out, and that's when they find out.
And they shoot the gerbs everywhere, kind of Star Trek style, and someone just falls over. You go, they're injured. How? I don't know. Gerbs exploded? What happened? I always think that's funny in sci-fi shows. The thing shakes, something explodes, and that person is hurt. But you're like, but what did it? Did like debris fly out? And like, there's like no reality to it whatsoever. It's
so
just like,
bizarre.
Boom.
I did have a question for you, Blake. So
hit me.
And I think this is, even if it's true, I think we can pass it off as something specific. But anyway, you have stated right from the beginning, I feel like I'm calling you out on something, and I'm not, by the way. You've stated right from the beginning that we don't get aliens in this show, that they've always tried to make things man-made or a virus or a robot or everything's like there's no aliens from another planet.
Right, genetic experiments from humans. Yeah.
So they reference their battle with a pan-dimensional liquid beast.
I took note of that. I was like, that's interesting because that could technically be... I mean, you could say... What's the Judgment guy? The Inquisitor. Was that like... was that his name?
Yeah,
Now, did we find... No, we found out that actually was a cool sci-fi concept. It was AI from humans that had gotten so advanced and lived to the end of time.
Your memory's far
that he
better
then
than
went
mine.
back, and said, I'm going to make a time travel thing to make sure people are worthy who get to live. So it still came from people. So the pandemic, I don't know. That was interesting. When it gets thrown out, I was like, does that fit the rule? Because that rule was one I've heard in the interviews with the creators of Red Dwarf saying, we were like, no aliens. Everything that gets created is from people.
But it's true. Like you've said that right from episode 1, and we've carried that through this podcast of making sure that anything is like, does that fit? Yeah, it does, and it has adhered to that. See, the loophole I would say is we don't actually get to see it.
We don't see it. What is the pandemic? Right. What is it? Because you could say the Inquisitor. I went, wait, was he? Nope. He still is he is a human-made AI that lived too long basically and went nuts. So like it still works. But I did take note of that too. The pan-dimensional liquid beast.
Yeah, because of that thing of it. Like, is it an alien? It's not specifically said, but it sounds like an alien.
Sure sounds like one. I do like when Lister gets this injury though, and they discover it's a droid, a mechanized. You said, I outrank him.
Yeah,
that whole thing. I love the like Cat's like, this is gonna mess him up. Who's gonna tell him? And Rimmer's, if you let it be me, I'll write you into my will.
Oh, but with so much pleasure in his voice. He's like, oh my God, I will write you into my will if you please let it be me.
Let it be me. Like, it's so good. And Crichton's like logical, like, no. One droid to another. I don't want to freak him out. That, again, talking about, I said last episode and this episode, some of my favorite Crichton deliveries. His whole, like, delivery, as you already alluded to with the box, like, did it come with the kit written on side of it or paint before delivery? But when he tells him what he is and how upset he was about, you convinced me to break your programming. I looked up to you, and for 4 years, I hand scrubbed the gussets of your long johns. The way he delivers that with like squeezing his face and making that weird prosthetic make such a weird look makes me so damn happy. Like, he's so angry and Lister is so absolutely defeated. And again, to go back to how I felt as a kid watching it, sometimes you're like, because you like American stuff, it just never changes. Like the American show, it always sets back to the zero. But like in the BBC, I was watching stuff and going like, oh man, you guys will just kill a main character and move on and do, you know what I mean? It's very, so I was like, I don't know. Is he a robot for now? Is this what's happening? Like what's the deal around it? And the absolute like just smashing that Lister gets and Crichton coming out and sitting in his spot in the co-pilot seat. Yeah. And he says one of my favorite, like, just phrases, period, is you can't put the little chocolate fingers all higgledy-piggledy. Put them into a pleasing log cabin shape.
Yeah,
I love higgledy-piggledy.
An interlaced log cabin. It's when he comes out and does it. I was watching it with Tracy and she went, someone had to make that log cabin.
Yes, they did. And just his delivery of but just prior to him coming in, when Crichton's like, well, what was that? We're not sure. Here it comes. Unreality minds. Unreality bubbles that create so-and-so and so-and-so, and that makes you think reality's different. Like just now, how we had one and made us think that Mr. Lister was, oh my. And his delivery
Somebody
of
else
the oh
tell
my... And then he doesn't say a word, and Kat's looking at him, and he puts his hand on his chest, and he just drums his fingers twice. And there's something so real about it. Drip, drip. And then he comes in, excuse me, sirs. How is this? And the audience reaction to that log cabin is so great. They hoop and holler for it, and just Crichton still sitting there with his hand on his chest. Then somebody else tell him, I've got gussets to scrub.
Somebody else tell him. The thing is, if he's an android, why would he have dirty gussets? I have so many things to comment on this, right? So my favorite,
that's why I think he's upset too. Is we should have figured out this is not.
Yeah,
this doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. Yeah.
So my favorite joke as part of finding out that Lister is an android is the X-ray. The X-ray is amazing because it's like the blueprint model for a robot, effectively what it would be. It's not an X-ray, it's like the blueprint model for a robot. Is amazing. Right, but we get a few references here, I believe. So Crichton says, and I'm paraphrasing this, I can't remember what he's what he's replying to, but he says, just because I have a head shaped like an unusual outcropping of mashed potato has to be a Close Encounters reference.
Yep, Close Encounters without a doubt.
They then talk about the 300 series. It's like, how come that he's there then and he doesn't know? And it's like, oh, well, a few of them escaped and they erased the memory so they didn't know and went out and lived in... Right? And I'm like, is that a Blade Runner reference?
Oh, yeah. Could be. The 3000 model. Now I have to look up that because Crichton is series 4000. He said Lister was 3, so I'm gonna have to look that up.
So
that
could be
a Blade Runner.
It felt like that they sort of disappeared and went to live out their lives as real people because nobody felt like a Blade Runner reference. But then also like Starbug is just like it's their sort of transport vessel from Red Dwarf to wherever. It's not meant for long distance travel, yes?
Right, that's why they're having troubles with the power and food and all that, yeah.
Okay, right. So we're supposed to assume that this ship that is only for travel from Red Dwarf to like the surface of a planet has a fully functional kitchen and laundry facilities.
Well, we've never seen the laundry facilities. But do they do it in this kitchen sink?
I don't know, but it's like they make it out like he's doing the laundry. Like, where's he doing it? Do they have sinks? Where's the water coming from?
They do have the deep sleep chamber. So obviously it's not ideal, but it's meant for long distance if needs be. Okay.
But where's the water coming from to wash his gussets?
Urine recycle.
Oh my God. That seems to have... I tell you what, since I brought up the thing in the background with the urine recycle with the big brown lumps in it, it seems to have cropped up in every episode since.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's funny. We need to use that as much as we can. Because isn't there a reference to... Is it like a wine or a champagne?
Yeah,
he
makes a champagne. He goes, forgive me, but I don't think a champagne should make it so you have to use turpentine to clean off the top of your lip or terps. Yeah.
Oh, my God. It was in the trivia and I took it out, but I still kind of put it in here because I thought it was quite interesting when the bouncing through the unreality pockets that Cat goes, oh my God, this is stranger than triple strength catnip. And in the trivia it was kind of making out that like catnip to cat was like LSD for cat people. Yeah. And it kind of makes sense because you see how cats go with catnip and then it's like all this trippy that's going on through these reality bubbles. I thought it was funny, like the best person to disappear. I've been invisibled. That was the best line ever. I've been invisibled. And he's like mortified that they can't see him.
It's such a, like, no effect. I wrote this down. I said, the unreality bubble disappearance of Kat's amazing. No effect, just hysterical performance. Like them, like, but the cat's missing. What? Where did he go? I don't know. Where did who go?
Yeah,
I don't
brilliant.
know. And like,
isn't it strange? Well, the three of us are still here. Where's but again, it's not like for those three. It's played straight.
Yeah, and even Kat, he's like freaking out, just playing straight. I love it. Can't you film him here? Oh, getting some buffeting.
Brilliant. It's brilliant because again, it doesn't. You don't always need to make a joke out of something that is funny for it to be funny.
Yeah, that one is that. I love that unreality bubble because it's just like zero effect. This is just going to be. It's perfect. It's actually it's so simple, and even the reality of like what that would do to people is great.
Or even the one that made Tracy laugh is like, we mustn't lose our heads, and then the next thing pop and they've all got like animal heads on.
That is the absolute most Douglas Adams moment, I feel like. That is the like hitting the button on the probability drive on the Heart of Gold starship.
Yes.
I love that. He's a moose. The cat's a moose. Like Rimmer or Crichton's a chicken, like with a gigantic waddle.
It's so interesting, right? And I've just thought of this now. I would have loved to have seen an episode in series 1 or series 2 where this was the whole premise of that episode. So like we had Future Echoes, and like I've kind of alluded to, that this feels like another version of that. I would have loved to have seen a whole episode just called Unreality Bubbles, where the whole episode was just
stupid, called Unreality.
Just stupid going on the ship because of whatever it might be. Because you can imagine with Holly there as well, it would be hilarious.
Yes. Yeah, that's you could do a whole premise of this episode completely. I love it's so good, but it's so short. Like it's so good, but it's a really short bit.
And we've said that, haven't we, about how much you said it on the last episode, that how much story they managed to cram into like a 28-minute episode, and sometimes that's good. Again, for me, the perfect example of that is Waiting for God.
Yes,
because you get that whole.
But also, because that splits it more in half, or like 60-40.
Kind of. It's like a story within a story more, because the pod turns up, the cat god thing's going on in between, and then it wraps up with the garbage pod. Whereas I think...
Smegging garbage pod.
Where I was going with this, I think sometimes, like you said, like with Rimmerworld, and like with the beginning of this, because they're trying to cram so much story in, there's things that only get a short amount of time that you would have loved to have seen get more time.
Yeah. But maybe that's also why they're funny too, right? Like,
I suppose they
keep it tight.
Yeah. Because then sometimes they could overstay its welcome.
So one thing I wrote on this is, so they finally get to that space station he puts them in a deep sleep, and they get to the space station to find basically a time travel device. But what I love is, in the last 2 seasons in particular, we have been learning what humanity has been up through the 28th century. Like, we've been learning, like, the Legion the scientists got together and they made that Gestalt Legion, the hollow ship that Rimmer was on.
Yes.
Like, we have been finding out bits and pieces of what humanity has been up to and how far they've come along in certain areas, or like things like creating the simulants and then a war that never happened. And it's just cool. There's this background lore building for the world of humanity that's been going on, which, if the idea is ever to get back to humanity, what does that even mean? I know it addresses it one way in the books.
Okay.
But I do like this. I do quite like getting a peek at what everyone's been up to. And by the way, getting the time machine is so good, because I love that. Obviously, I knew what was going to happen watching it, but I love that they immediately assuaged your fears of like what the show is going to become by being like, we got a time machine now. Oh, is this what it's going to be? It's like, let's time travel. 1422. And just, I do love cats. How about 1421?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
That's when I feel like I'm paying
just
attention.
wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Just was paying attention. But that they time travel, and then travel back. It's like, well, much as I enjoyed that heady trip into pre-Renaissance 15th century, like
deep space. It's a 15th century, like pre-Renaissance deep space is brilliant.
Yes,
but it's true.
But Crichton's so happy. We're in the 15th century.
Yeah,
but we're in the same space, in deep space. Yes. Like, he's so excited by it. And he thinks, I love his genuine thrill at how amazing what they've just done is. And they're like,
nothing's changed for us. Yeah, not at all. So like, unless we come across faster than light drive, it means nothing. Which, are we to assume that when they meet their future selves, that they at some point do find a faster than light drive?
Well, they did get a star drive. It ran away on them, but they did get that star drive at one point that they could use to catch up with Red Dwarf, but then it blew out of the side of the ship, you know?
Because didn't they say, aren't their future selves in this, is it 15 years? I'm sure they referenced that it's
I think it's 15 years. Yeah.
So here's another question I have for you then. So this is what I want to know. I'm looking forward to finding out, and everyone who knows Red Dwarf way better than I do at this point already knows the answer. If any of the things that are set up in this episode actually pay off in the future. I'm guessing not, because Lister's not in a jar. But it's
some do, like the box, the under the pool table.
I mean specifically the things like getting a faster than light drive and still having the time machine and stuff. But anyway, so Cat's fat and bald.
Well, now hold on a second, because speaking of Cat, before we get to the crew coming on board, I do want to give the Cat delivery I love of Crichton. Like, no, don't answer that, but they must be in trouble. No, but you can't. It's got to be our future selves. The human mind isn't, able to handle knowing about your future. And then Rimmer being like, exactly. What if we discover one of us dead? Who could handle that? And Cat's just, we all could if it was you.
Yeah. But it's funny that you said that there, because my brain goes to, well, Cat's not human, so maybe his mind could handle it.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I didn't even think about that, to be honest. I didn't think about it that way.
No, but yeah, it is brilliant. Like, again, it's just that it's the digs between, like, Lister and Rimmer aren't, like, you think that whole first couple of series was all about Lister and Rimmer digging at each other constantly, and that dynamic's kind of gone away a little bit, and now it's Cat and Rimmer.
Yeah, because I like Rimmer and Lister at this point, like,
I've kind of just accepted each other.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes up, it's like stuff like when they think Lister's a droid earlier, and Rimmer's like, "What was his mission? To rid the world of Vindaloo?"
Chicken Vindaloo is the best line ever.
And again, that could be a whole episode. You could have done a whole episode where he thought he was an android. Like, there are several of these that literally could have been entire episodes.
Yeah, think about it. It's kind of like the episode Crichton. They could have kind of done a similar episode to Crichton, but with Lister.
By the way, I still don't know that the show has ever gotten a better punchline than that second series episode of Crichton of, look at these women, they're all dead. I was only gone for 5 minutes. Like it's still, I don't know that, really? I don't know they've ever eclipsed that.
No, probably
it's
not.
Still one of the best punchlines ever.
I wonder if they ever considered redoing that episode, but with Robert Llewellyn. Yeah. Like a George Lucas thing.
Star Wars scroll to let you know what was going on.
Yeah, but they still could have done, like, just to, I don't know, I think George Lucas would have done. But you know what I mean? Just to see how interesting how different his delivery would have been. I love that you said
that after my opening.
Yeah. But it would have been interesting just to see how, with the same script and how Robert Llewellyn is with Crichton, just to see how different it would have been. Would have been really interesting. I do
love the old performance, though. I mean, I love Robert Llewellyn, but like, I do.
Yeah, me too.
The guy was also great. When they all go to play or stay away from their future selves coming in, or sorry, they step away so Crichton can talk to them on the video screen, and so you don't meet them yet. Crichton's terrible, bad acting, like nothing is wrong with Lister is so great. Not like that. Just, I love you, sir. You know that, don't you? Like, just that whole thing makes me so happy. His favorite bowl. His little cup. Easy on the chilies, man.
There won't be enough left for tomorrow. Yeah.
Just dumping them in. You can leave now. Like, so it's so good because it's like, it works because we've set up, he's an android. He is trying to break programming, but his emotions are bonkers because he's not a human.
Not true emotions. Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much when they come in for the meeting, when he sequesters them to the second decker level or whatever. They're in that sort of room with the sleep chamber and where they do the medical examinations or whatever. And he's trying to hack the video camera, but the performance of Chris Berry as older Rimmer is awesome.
So I have to ask this question. So you literally jumped to the point that I was about to get to earlier. He's still a hologram. Why would he be fat and grey?
I don't know. And he even says that. He goes, I'm a hologram. I can't have changed much. He says that.
Yes.
So I am curious about that. But just as, good God, we used to live like this. Like,
you could see Rimmer being like that, though. Like, if Rimmer hadn't died. If Rimmer hadn't died and he lived an opulent life, you could see that's who he would become.
Absolutely. I love the performance. Like, and also think they only said 15 years. What's that put these guys in their early 40s? 30? I mean, and Cat, like you said, just being like bald and
with his ass the size of a cow. Yeah. That future Rimmer kind of keeps me in mind of Mr. Creosote a little bit when he's talking about quail's livers and we've feasted on the finest things, and I'm like, he kind of put me in mind of Mr. Creosote there in The Meaning of Life.
I totally see that. I love Cat's great, but my God, nothing beats Crichton. That costume design of weaving the toupee into the prosthetic and then adding eyebrows to them,
just above where the eyebrows would be.
Yes, so he could try and pass as human. Oh my God. He looks amazing. Like, he's just, and of course with his little Crichton walk in that leisure suit, like, it's so good.
So I've got another question there for you then, I noticed.
What's that?
So it came up a couple of times. So right at the beginning, when the whole thing between Lister and Crichton about him being an android, and he's like, I expect you in the cockpit with sandwiches and tea or whatever it is in 2 minutes. And he comes in and he's got 3 cups. Who are the 3 cups for?
He's made one for Crichton, I assume. You're right. He brought one in for everybody.
Right. But then when they sit down and Crichton cracks open the bottle of piss wine at the end, he pours himself a glass and he drinks it.
Well, and he has done, in at series 3 or 4, they did the... this is formulated to work for an android, an alcohol for android. But he does say that he can drink or something, but he won't feel the effects of alcohol. And they said, well, we made this one so that it will.
I don't remember that. But and then I suppose the only other reference is Legion with the Mimosian banquet. But they specifically say that Mimosian food is made to be palatable for everyone.
Yeah, including androids.
Yeah, I just thought it was strange how it's just wine. It's not anything special. It's just made out of urine recycle, and he drinks it.
Just urine recycle wine.
And isn't it Cat takes a sip of it and then what is this? We're used to the finest things, man.
We're epicures. I love they dropped that line, that term in there. It's so great.
It's funny though, isn't it, that they obviously, so we're supposed to assume that they have a faster than light drive and a time machine, but they only go back to Earth. And so this is so.
I should say. So they go back through time, going back in time to Earth, but
they don't go anywhere else.
If everything has been created by humans in this universe, we have not had aliens and stuff. That they're going back in time. But they could have gone to they could have gone to the place that met the scientists who made Legion. They could have.
That's what I mean. But they've only gone to hang out with the Hitlers and the Goebbels and.
But I think the idea being that, well, you want to go hang out with those nerdy scientists. You're not going to get anything cool out of that. They want to go, where all the good stuff is. Let's go to Louis the 14th, and let's go hang out with him. Also speaking of great deliveries by Crichton, Hermann Goering, a bit dodgy.
That was brilliant. That actually sounded like him there. I love your Crichton.
It's so good. Like it winds up in a way that looks like his gears are about to explode out of his chest. It is so good. He is, God. It's so wild because you just love Lister and Rimmer so much. And then they introduce this Crichton guy and you're like, okay, pretty fun. I don't know why you still have Holly if you've got him. And then a dime just turns. You're like, I can't imagine this without Crichton ever. It's so good. A bit dodgy. Oh God, it's so good. His reaction to his future selves, and even his future self being, my God, can you believe I was this whatever pompous? Just delightful. What is that on your head? I hope you've got a quarantine license for it.
I find the whole thing weird how the reason the future selves have gone back to them is because there's something wrong with their time drive and they can only travel forward. It's
almost like they need to copy and paste something in the settings from the one they have. They don't need it. They just need to copy something from it to put into theirs.
But how did they find them? They have no idea. If they've been back and forwards through time and space for 15 years or whatever, however long it's been, they would have no idea where Starbug is at that point. What are the chances of them actually finding them in not only infinite space, but also infinite time?
If I can put I've watched too many time travel movies and books, pretty good, because the way they got the time machine was the same way that they did. So they got the time machine and then later would have to have found a faster than light drive so they could do both. So that means as soon as they had problems with they could go, well, let's go back to the day we got the time machine.
But it isn't the day they got the time machine, is it?
Yeah, it is. Because they've already installed. Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't they get it on they got it the week, the last episode? Yes.
The time machine? No, because the unreality bubbles led them to the space station.
Oh yes, you're right. I'll edit. Cut.
It's because no, that's in your head. I get it. Why? Because they went to the simulant ship. So these are two episodes in a row where they have gone.
They're very similar. Yeah, I say I'm getting old now. My brain doesn't work well anymore.
No, I get. It's why I had the brain fart in the previous episode recording where I was like, when does he say dangling your wedding tackle and love spuds into a lion's mouth and flick it or
with a wet towel?
Wet towel as wedding tackle. Yeah, I couldn't remember because there's a couple of little bits in here that are similar. But yeah, so they just go back to the time and date and snag or to go get That's the thing there. But I adore that scene or just the perform. Again, there's so many good little performances in this of Lister trying to hook up the security feed so he can see what's going on down there. And then just like, oh man, you're making fun of Rimmer. Like, yeah, you put on some weight and you're 2 sandwiches away from a sumo wrestler or something like that. And Cat's like bald head. And then he's like, I see Crichton. I see Rimmer. I see the cat. And him just slowly looking up and then walking away. And then frickin' Rimmer's just delivery of like, you can't even see Chris Berry's face. All you see is his forehead because the machine is covering his face. But it doesn't matter because you can immediately picture exactly what he looks like with his delivery of, oh dear.
And that sounds like Rimmer.
And he's like, is he fat? He's lost a bit of weight, actually.
That feels like Rimmer from About the Babies, doesn't it? When he's like, oh, we're going to have fun finding out. It feels like that.
I'm going to be an uncle. Yep.
Yeah, it feels like that, Rimmer. Yeah, brilliant.
Oh, dear. Just
taking great pleasure in it. Yeah.
And by the way, having the dreadlocks attached to Lister's brain jar
is... you beat me to it. I've literally got that written down. So here's a thing then, right? All right. So we've already established that they could have hung out with all the best scientists in the galaxy, the universe, right? So something's happened to Lister, because I've wrote down on my notes, and this is just something. So I've wrote down on my notes, they've got the technology to keep Lister's brain alive in a jar, but not the technology. Oh, and it to be able to talk and communicate, but not put it in a new body. So maybe if they used that faster than light drive and the time machine to find some amazing scientist, that surely they could have put his brain back in another body. Like, why would you not try and do that?
You could have, or they went to, or whatever happened to him, they went to some scientists, and that's how they kept him alive. Is one way. I mean, I'll tell you another plot. If you were redoing this episode and you were going to break this out a bit further, if we were doing our recreation where we expand things, I'd make one of the things is like the premise is they're coming to get the time travel machine, but that's only part of it. The other premise is they're going to capture Lister and put old future Lister's brain in young Lister's body.
That would have been good. Yes.
Yeah, like that would be a real fun.
Yes.
If you were going to expand the story, you know?
Yeah, that would have been great.
But in my head, again, this episode was so important because it felt like the end to me. Them being from the, it's so short. It's not that long that you get these future versions of them. And I just say, I don't know if it's the world we live in right now. So this feels scary. In some of the delivery of the conversation that they have with Crichton about like, who are we to blame? And that we're sorry if, some of the finer things tend to be held by the people who are a bit dodgy. The Herman Goring, a bit dodgy. But I love that you dinner with the Hitlers. Now look, providing you don't talk politics.
Yes.
The Hitlers are a real hoot. It is one of the best. Like, it's so funny. But also, it sounds so real.
Yes.
Because that's the kind of crap you'd hear someone say right now. You're just like,
yes.
If you don't talk about the people in politics in Russia that Putin had killed, he's a pretty fun dude to hang out with. Like, it's just such a wild, like, oh, God, so great. Oh, I love it. And that it's so antithetical to everything you know about the Red Dwarf crew. Up until this point, that at the end of the day, they've all been pretty good guys.
Yeah.
I love this. Now, so we're right at the end. So I'll ask you, do you remember first watching this for the first time?
I have no clue.
Because I remember watching it, and like when they're sitting there and they're like, Lister comes out like, get out. I don't care what happens to me. Get out. Like, and they kick them all off the ship. And then they get back in their cockpit, and then it's like, oh, we're under attack, and the future Red Dwarf or Starbug attacks them. And they're like, that's stupid. If you kill us, you'll kill yourselves. Well, we'd rather do that than like live like you guys.
Yeah.
And, the moment where they're like, so-and-so, it's almost certain death, what do you want to do? And when Rimmer says, I say we fight.
Yes.
I remember the first time I saw that, and it gave me goosebumps. I know that sounds stupid, but it totally did, because you have been following Rimmer for 6 series, and Ace is a part of him. We've established that if he had made one choice different, he'd be Ace. And so I love that, like, I say we fight, better dead than Smeg is great.
Yeah.
It's such a good bit. And then as the explosions happen and each crew member dies one by one, the fact that it's Rimmer at the end, I wrote this down. I love this moment for Rimmer owning being a hero.
Yeah.
And he's like, do what? We can do what? We can change what's happening. How can we? And then he runs to the time machine and just hits it before they blow up. I love that. Like, that is such a great full circle, or not full circle, but like a great arc for Rimmer from the beginning. Is so good. No one will know about this. All of humanity is gone. Everyone he even knows is dead, but he is going to do a truly heroic thing that no one will ever know about. Is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that moment. I even love that they kind of get some 80s like action music, like dramatic going. And it's so great. And it's why I was kind of upset, but as a couple years went by, I don't know. This is a good ending to me. If this had been the end and they like that closed the loop of Red Dwarf because they blew up the time machine. And so you kind of just have a loop for that to happen in now. And your Red Dwarf is just going back and seeing the reruns. It's fun. I know it said to be continued, and it's interesting because they between the reality bubbles and the time travel, you could easily have walked away from surviving this by saying, oh, that was a really big unreality bubble.
Yes, and that's kind of, see, before we got to the end, that's kind of how I expected it to end.
Well, and I forgot a bit about the unreality bubbles prior to the time machine because those are both two huge sci-fi concepts.
Yes.
The time machine and the unreality bubble. So, not to mention the teleporter they used the previous episode that they time traveled with by mistake. So, you have 1.5 time machine. So, like, there's some way to establish that this ends. He blows that up. And maybe they all just wake up. They kind of did that before, right? They did the thing where they reset time. And so they all kind of faded away. Remember that? They played pool with the planets, I believe. Oh, yeah. And so it reset time, which they'd already done. So maybe you don't want to reset time again. I get that. You've already done it. You could have just said, holy cow, this is one giant unreality bubble. Well, thank God, because we never would turn out like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. Because they set that unreality bubble thing up at the beginning.
Except... they don't go with either option, which we'll get to in our next episode, or when we get to episode season.
I can't remember.
Series 7.
I will be watching it. So I was recording this. Obviously, I'm going to watch it tomorrow. But it's interesting with this episode because in the trivia, apparently this script was written literally minutes before they filmed it, which led to the use of an auto cue thanks to a lack of rehearsal time. In addition to that,
you mean like a teleprompter?
Yeah.
Thing.
Sorry, do you not call it an auto cue? It's an auto cue in the UK.
Yeah, teleprompter here in the US. I noticed. I was like, oh, that's an interesting little differentiation.
So in addition to this, parts of it were being written during filming, so the actors keep seeing new lines appearing on the auto cues while they were performing in front of a studio audience, which is really interesting because I obviously wasn't paying any attention, but it didn't feel like it.
Right. And no, it didn't to me either. I mean, every now and then I can kind of see that with Crichton when he's been giving a lot of difficult science stuff to say.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that that's what's happening.
But I also thought it was interesting that apparently Craig Charles told the writers that he didn't find the script funny and they threatened to kill his character off and change the title of the episode to R.I.P. Lister.
I love that.
Which they kind of did kill him off. I mean, they did kill him off, technically.
It makes me think of Empire Strikes Back. Han Solo or Harrison Ford was not signed on to Return of the Jedi. So
I didn't know that.
Lucas had given himself some wiggle room in case he didn't come back.
Oh, okay.
So he just would die in the carbonite.
And then, obviously, this is the final episode that was written by Rob Grant as he parted ways with the series co-creator Doug Naylor after this series, which is interesting. I'm interested now, obviously, watching these as intently as we have to see how much difference there is between the writing of this series and the next one. You would think they carry a lot over, but it'll
different.
Be really
very different.
Like I say, I don't remember. I know one specific thing that comes into the next series, obviously.
So I was trying to find if there's an answer. I found that little Prelude to Nanarchy comic book. It says October 2005, which is not correct, but I think this is the one that people talked about. So. I didn't find a quick answer in there. That comic book takes place at a weird time. I realized in between. It doesn't take place before Series 7. It takes place almost before this series.
Okay. To
set up what happens at the beginning of Series 7. It does change a lot. And there are going to be moments that you go, oh my gosh. There are a lot. If memory serves me correctly, I think what we're going to see is we're going to have moments where we go, I feel like these kind of jokes happened a lot this episode. And you're going to go, oh, of the two gentlemen, this must have been the one that made these kind of jokes.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I completely understand that.
Yeah, so you do kind of feel... That's why I remember it. And actually, I'm kind of glad we're talking about this before we actually sit down and watch it. I remember it as going, this feels like Red Dwarf, but something's missing. And I think it just probably is that, right? But then again, we've got shows, Lee, you and I have loved over the years that the show writers and showrunners change, and we still love the show. I mean, so
yeah.
It doesn't, of course, and those shows are different. A lot of those American shows, especially, like, they run for so long that, you're establishing. I mean, we're 36 episodes in, and it's series 6, right? In the US, that's a 22 episode series back in the day.
Yes.
It would have been at this time.
And we're getting, I think we talked about it a lot of them, where you started to see things now that we are going back to that a little bit. Like, you look at some of the Star Wars stuff that's coming in. I mean, I'm not sure. We're 3 episodes. I think there's only 3 episodes in, but they're like the new Alien Earth. I think there's only, is there 6 or 8?
8. I think it's 8.
We've just watched the newest season of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, 6 episodes.
Yep.
Which is weird because most of theirs are like really long seasons, and they're not. So I like the fact that they're getting back to that, those shorter run things, rather than being these massive, you've really got to go all in 24 episode seasons.
So some of the things you and I have just said about these previous 2 episodes about how you could make a whole episode about this concept.
Yeah. If
this was a 22 episode series, that's what it would be, right? Unreality would be a whole thing, and then you do a whole thing about the droid, and then you do it.
Yeah.
You could see it being like spread out that way. I'm gonna have to send you this webcomic I found. Okay. It's only like 8 pages, and it is early in webcomic life, so I'm very confused by it saying the 2005 because that doesn't make sense. So I don't know. We're gonna have to go back and I gotta do a little. I'm trying not to do research because I don't want to spoil myself, because I've never really sat down and just watched these next few series like we're about to do.
Yeah.
But I want to find where that falls at. But it is interesting that for all the setup that they put in this episode of how they could survive, they don't do that.
Interesting.
They don't do that. But they do, but there are things that you go, well, did they just change their mind? Because I think we discovered it took like 4 years or whatever to get to when they came back.
Yeah.
So you go, well, did they change their minds? They forget stuff. But then again, stuff like Lister under the pool table, clearly part of a plan. Because that shows back up.
Yeah.
So
I love in the trivia that the working title for this episode was Present from the Future. I love that title.
Oh, I think I like that better than Out of Time.
I mean, Out of Time I like as well.
They're both good.
Yeah. I think Out of Time probably suits. I suppose it depends what you're focusing on, doesn't it? Like, if you look at the episode overall, Out of Time makes sense. Whereas I do like Present from the Future.
That's just a good... I like that title.
Yeah.
But as an ending, and if you do look at a few people having conversations online, a lot of people look at this as an ending. This is when the Red Dwarf, as they knew it, ends, because it does change so much, because you lose the 2 creators working together moving forward.
Yeah, I'm interested to move forward to see the differences.
And we've definitely said that series 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6 kind of felt like chapters together.
Yeah.
Or little, because
well, it was.
they
I think 1
jumped
and 2
off of each other.
Yeah, because 1 and 2 was very much Lister and Rimmer with sort of Cat popping in and out. Series 3 and 4 was like finding that status quo of introducing Crichton and trying to figure out where Holly fit in at that point, and then they decided that it just didn't. And then 5 and 6 was like, again, finding the status quo of these 4 together now as a group. And then obviously we're going to introduce a new character into the next series and find their way back in, which is interesting because it's funny how Red Dwarf pops up in everyday life. So so in my job, I am in a position where I can sit and watch Netflix all day long. It's not bad. It's not a bad job to have. So I kind of rewatch a lot of the same shows over again because they're just easy and there's lots of them. So I've been rewatching an old Channel 4 series called Skins. I don't know whether you ever watched it, Blake.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've not watched it, but I'm familiar with the concept. So it's just about a group of sixth formers, like college students. Nicholas Hoult was in the first 2 series. It's had some quite big actors who've moved on to some other stuff. But watching series, I suppose technically it's series 3, episodes 1 and 2,
one of the main characters in it, Minnie, her mother is Claire Grogan in the in the series. I'm like, I forgot she was in this. So I thought it was quite
cool.
Look
at that. Yeah. That's hysterical. Oh, there are some famous people in that, though.
Yeah. But even like the kids, because Dev Patel's in the first 2 series as well. And he went on to do some huge stuff. Like I say, Nicholas Hoult, obviously massive at the moment with just being in the new Superman. So yeah, Kate Scodelario, she hasn't had a massive career, but she's been in some stuff recently. I don't know whether you saw, what was that alligator thing with the hurricane? Oh, what was it called? It came out a couple of years ago. Oh God, it wasn't that great, but I think she was in the new Resident Evil film that came out, or the TV series that came out. Yeah. She was in that. So it's had some people who you kind of know in there. Jack, is it Jack O'Connell? Have you seen
Jerry O'Connell or
no? Not, Jack. Have you seen Sinners?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know you're talking about. Yes.
So he's in it as well. He's brilliant in Skins, to be fair. I really like him, and I thought he should have had a much bigger career than he's had. But yeah, it was nice to see him in Sinners. But anyway, this is not the Skins podcast. This is thanks for the memory.
but it and not only that, because there is a time jump, I believe, of I keep wanting to say it's 1997 is when the show comes back. Is that right? I'll have to go to IMDb to double check. But there is so not only do you lose, both creators working on it, but you also have a time jump, and the time jump is a pretty important one as far as technology is concerned, because once you go to let's see, where's the episodes? I believe it is I want to say it's 4 years. Let's see. It is 1997.
Okay.
So it's 4 years. So because it's 4 years, I want you to think about shows that were on in the late 90s. The show also looks so different. So that was the striking thing when I first saw it, going, oh my gosh, that exists. I had to watch some of the older ones. And then I went I remember it ended on a cliffhanger. Let me watch that. We watched this next one, and I could never get the very first episode, and there was a bit of like feeling from series 3 going, what have I missed? I feel like I've missed something.
Not as much, I'm sure.
No, I think it explains things a bit better, but it looks so different, and that's hard. It's hard to deal with because it looks more like a show of its time as far as the way it's filmed, the camera quality, and stuff like that. So it definitely feels weird because, you separate 4 years, I'd be curious to know how many of the crew that were working on it are still there. And even if you had new crew on series 4, 5, and 6, you probably had leftovers from the previous crew that, people knew how they did the thing. So, I look forward to getting to this, but I maybe more so as an adult now, if this was it, if we were ending because this is as far as the show got, I'd be like, man, I'd love to know what happened, but what a blast. It was a great, great show.
Yeah. And they kind of went out as they would have wanted to go out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I said, this kind of is a fun, for me, the Rimmer going out like this would be fun. Like I like this. I like this for him.
I am interested in moving forward to see how this. I don't remember how the
uncharted territory
comes back into it. For spoilers for anyone who's never watched these before and are watching along, I don't remember.
Yeah, I have a vague visual memory of something to do, but like I said, I never was able to watch this series just back to back in order, series 7 or 8, and to know what happened. And it does change quite a lot. But you know what? I wonder if people might be laughing right now who are listening to this, the fans of the show of Red Dwarf. I wonder if I remember not being keen on it. I wonder if I'm going to feel differently watching it now.
Yes.
Because we're watching it with a different perspective going through this. So I'm curious. Also, not for nothing, like right now, we're just not getting good sitcoms and stuff. Like, I don't know. Even a bad Red Dwarf might be a pretty good thing to sit down and watch.
It's interesting from my perspective because this will be the first series of Red Dwarf that I'll have watched with my now wife because we got together in early 1997. So we'll have watched this because we both loved Red Dwarf. So these will have been the first ones that we've actually, new episodes that we'll have watched together. So it'll be interesting to sit down and watch these together, which we have been. I've been doing 2 watches on my phone and then my note-taking watch at home with Tracy on the big TV. So it'll be interesting to see how much she remembers of them when we sit down to watch them as well.
So all I know, 7 and 8, I did watch once, out of order mostly. And then I saw the first episode of series 9. And then I will be completely in uncharted waters.
See, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. Because, again, my memory of them isn't great, but at least I've seen them. To sit down and watch episodes with you that I know you haven't seen is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. I'm excited about this, continuing this journey. I guess that's the end of this one. That brings us to the end. We need to
rate it, don't we, first?
Lee, we might be out of time. See what I did there? So that'll bring us to the end of this podcast. So be sure to follow us.
You're completely missing a whole section out there, aren't you, Blake?
Oh no, we forgot. Oh man, what do we rate this sucker? You know what happened? I scrolled my content too far.
That's fair. I actually really enjoyed this, honestly, more than I thought I did. And again, the conversation has made me realize how much I enjoyed it. I'm giving it a solid 8.
I gave this one a 9 because I really enjoy it as an ending. Like if this had been the ending, I'd have been okay with it. I'd have been like, man, I wish we could have found out more. But like, I would have gone, these are awesome. These 6 series are great. I'll watch them again anytime. And that's still true. We'll see what I say moving forward. But at any time, I'd watch. So now I'll say, that'll bring us to the end of this podcast.
I mean, you're still missing a bit out.
What did I do?
Because we're at the end of a series, Blake. We're at the end of a series.
Oh, we're at the end of a series. Any of these make it into your top 5? So where did I end up? Where was my top 5 at the end of series 5?
My current top 5 is from 5 to 1. Thanks for the memory. Back to Reality. Waiting for God. Future Echoes and Queeg, which sadly we never mentioned, but we lost Queeg recently.
Yeah, we did. I saw that.
I meant to mention it when we recorded the last 2 episodes and forgot about it. But yeah, sadly we lost Charles Organs a couple of weeks ago.
So for me, I had in 5th the end, series 1, episode 1. Then 4th was Better Than Life, series 2, episode 2. Polymorph, series 3, episode 2 was number 3. Queeg and Marooned. Did I change? Oh, I changed it. I apologize. I see what I did to make this make more sense to me. I did number 1 was Maroon. Number 2 was Queeg. Back to Reality. 4 is Polymorph. The End. And then Better Than Life. I had Back to Reality kind of stepped in on Better Than Life. Because I liked Back to Reality so much. Does any episode here eclipse any of those for me?
Well, I can categorically, nice and easy, say, no, I don't think any of them. I've enjoyed all of them for the most part, but I don't think any of them would make it into my top 5.
I'm going to say something weird. I don't think so either. Back to Reality is still such a standout for me.
Yeah.
That it's so good.
Yeah.
That I don't think so either. I think Back to Reality is really good. I don't think I'm a Queeg, Marooned, maybe Polymorph. Polymorph's the only one I could maybe look at. But the problem is, but I'll say this, as an overall season, series 6 is right at the top for me.
Really?
As far as like consistently each one really enjoying, like, as a high bar. I love series 5 and 6. I've made no disillusions to that. But 6 does hit high bars constantly. They just might not be it might not be full of 4 A pluses. But they're up there pretty high. I really do enjoy series 6 quite a bit.
I'm terrible, as you know. 1 and 2 are my favorites, like unequivocally above everything else. And it's going to take a lot to nudge any of those ones out of my top 5, honestly. I have so much nostalgic love for those 2 series.
I don't think it's going to change mine either.
Okay.
I think right now mine stays the same. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with those choices right there.
Wasn't it Jack in his email that asked if we were going to... We've had so many communications recently. It might have been Jack, it might have been somebody else on Instagram or something, but asked, when we get to the end of this, are we going to rank all of the episodes, like every single one in order, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
I don't think I can do that because the problem is I would just have too many that kind of tie with each other, to be perfectly honest. With only a couple that I'm like, they weren't my favorites, but I don't hate
I know
them,
what's at the bottom at this point, but yeah, I'm pretty safe in saying that I think my top 5 now will probably end up being my top 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty good to go with that. I'll be curious to see if anything unseats it moving forward. I doubt it, but Marooned, Queeg, Back to Reality, Polymorph, The End. Yeah, I'm pretty good with that.
We're very similar in
some
our
of
top
these.
5s.
Some of these would creep in if we did a top 10 for sure. But I'm fine with that right here.
It feels like we're at the end of this series. It feels a lifetime ago since we did Hollow Ship. It really does.
Hollow Ship might as well be 5 years ago. Is what it feels like.
It feels like such a long time ago that 6.
Yes.
It feels like forever ago. Oh my God, this year, man.
Marvelous. Series 6 has my best favorite quotes and some of my favorite insults.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way.
Okay, so now, for real, that brings us to the end of this podcast. I just didn't want to let Series 6 go.
I know.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory and Twitter at Dwarf_Memory for all show updates.
Of course, please subscribe, rate and review. Please rate the show and review it because we don't have many reviews on Apple Podcasts and stuff, so we'd really appreciate them. Wherever you can, and email us your comments and thoughts to dwarfmemory@gmail.com.
Yeah, keep those comments and emails coming. It's been really cool.
They really
reading through these.
Yeah.
On the next episode... We're gonna be doing the U.S. pilot. Woo! So
just to jump in, Blake, because the idea wasn't it that this came out, the US pilot came out around this time, so we wanted to watch it now to see if it would influence anything going forward.
I'll double check. I think it dropped in 92, and we made the decision to go, you know what? Let's finish Series 6 then, because it's kind of that, there's a gap until you get to 7 or 4 years. I think it's 92, but yeah, you're right. It's like right around here. Okay. So we're going to do the United States pilot. So, and let me apologize to you for this in advance. Make sure to watch before you listen to the episode. I believe you can find it on the YouTubes and stuff.
Yeah, well,
I think official,
Yeah, I think we found the best copy on YouTube where we could find, and I think it's somewhere in our chat between you and me on Messenger.
And we have to be careful because there's 2 versions.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The one that we sent, the one that I found that you were like, yeah, that's the one we'll watch. That's the link I will share on our socials.
And that is a different cast, if I am correct.
Really?
Because, you know what? I'm going to do a little research again right after before we do that. It gets a little weird because there is a cast where the hologram might be female, and then there's one where, I don't know. Like, it's odd. There is some they made some changes, and I'll have to go back and look at it.
We will figure it out, and whichever one that Blake and I watch will be the one that we post in our social media.
Luckily, I think we discovered is there's a 30-minute pilot-ish, let's say, and that is the true pilot.
Okay.
And then there is a recutting of that pilot with some different performers in certain roles that they redid to try and pitch it again to get it to sell, and no one bought on it.
So we want to watch the first one then.
Yeah, we need to watch that. Okay. We need to watch that first one. Cool. And I look forward to it. So apologies to you good, fine listeners in advance.
I'm interested. I'm excited.
Oh, man, if you thought the coupling US was bad off of the UK, geez, this one, we'll talk about it. I can't wait. This will be fun to sit down and talk.
There are not many versions of British sitcoms that have transferred well into the US. Like The Office, I kind of like both.
Is it?
Actually, no, I would disagree. So I don't know whether you've ever watched. Let's go off on a tangent at the end of the episode. There is a British TV series on the BBC. It ended. I think they did a Christmas special last year, but I think as far as a series, it ended either a year or 2 years ago, called Ghosts.
Oh yes, actually, that's not bad. The US version, you're right.
The US version actually is really good because it's Rose, what's her face, out of iZombie.
Yep.
And they tweaked it up just enough to fit the American there's like a Native American rather than whatever, like a caveman. I think it's a caveman in the UK, and there's like Thor. There's like a Viking and stuff, and they changed it up just enough that it's slightly different, and I actually really like both versions of that. But if you want to talk about one of my favourite British comedy shows, The In-Betweeners, the American version is terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all.
It really doesn't. Well,
and spoiler alert, so is this U.S. pilot of Red Dwarf that we're about to watch.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's just missing so many things that, lightning, this show and these casts, it's truly lightning in a bottle, which is why I think it does feel so different when you move to Series 7. It's still fun, but it's different. But yeah
can't wait.
The U.S. episode version does not have that. I can't wait to watch it and talk to you with that
me
one.
too.
So that's going to be good. That's it for us.
Yes.
Mr. Lister.
Is he okay?
He's dead, sir.
The hull's gonna go. We'll all be dead in a minute. Cat!
Dead, but there may be...
Braswell, there may be a what? A way out of this? Is that what you were gonna say? Speak! Braswell, how can we change what's happening?